Hey there, friends. So tomorrow, this little friend here is going to go to his new home. And so I thought I would share with you just some basic new outdoor bunny pet information. So I'll give you a quick rundown on that. Won't we, little fella? Mm-hmm. Ooh, you have cute, chunky cheeks. He's such a good boy. So let me show you really quick. Whenever you are bringing home your bunny, what you want to check, you want to make sure there's no goopiness around their eyes or any crustiness on the inside of their ears. Yeah, you want to make sure their little face looks good. There's not any like wetness under their chin or anything. And then you want to flip him over and make sure that his little booty's clean. He's just fur. If you're trying to check his actual parts, you kind of have to pull very gently. See, that's his little pee-pee. But his feet are just a little bit stained. He's not too bad. You want to check their fur, make sure there's not any bald spots. Woo! Be patient. Be patient, little buddy. I know. I know. It's always important to be patient with your animals. I just got through trimming his nails, so he's like not happy. You want to, I say check their coat. His coat, he's still a baby. He's 8 weeks old, so he's got his silvering coming in on his feet and his ears and around his face. But that's very normal. You're trying to hide, friend. Oh, I know. You're such a sweet boy. Okay, so, and you just want to feel around, make sure there's not any broken bones, make sure they can get around well. And yeah, it's pretty obvious when a bunny is not in good health. So this guy's good. But yeah, that would be my advice for checking bunnies before you bring them home. All right, friends. I want to give you guys a little bit of information about what it looks like whenever you are bringing a bunny home. We have this little feller on the table. He's 8 weeks old. He is a full-blooded silver fox meat rabbit. He will be an excellent pet. You can see he came right up to me. He's a sweet, sweet boy. Aren't you, buddy? Are you sweet boy? Yeah. So whenever you're picking up a rabbit, if you're buying a rabbit from me, I'm going to bring you a gallon bag or a quart bag, depending on which rabbit you buy, of the food that they are already on. This guy will be getting treated topically with ivermectin, just like a dab behind the ear, just in case he has any kind of mites or anything like that coming from here. I don't want to share mites with you. So if you're checking out your bunny and you notice there's something odd behind his ear, that's exactly what that is. It's just ivermectin. And if you treat, and I'm doing it the day before, so it's the same kind of thing if you treat any of your pets with any flea and tick medication. Ivermectin is a very, very safe thing. Sorry. You're so brave, buddy. Are you going to jump off the table? So when you're picking up a bunny as a pet, you want to make sure you have good housing for them. I recommend using all wire flooring. And so the cages that I use have 1/2 inch by 1 inch on the bottom and then 1 by 1 on the sides. You can use wooden framing. My hesitation with wooden framing is it's harder to clean. But with one bunny, it shouldn't be as bad as, 6 or 7 in one spot. He's such a healthy little boy. Honestly, if he wasn't going to be a pet for somebody, I might keep him as a breeder. You're nice and thick, huh? You got a badonkadonk. You sure do. So the absolute bare minimum for what I would keep a rabbit in is 30 inches by 30 inches by 24 inches tall. That's just a bit too, even that's a bit small. But you could sort of make that work. He's mad. He stepped off of the blanket and onto the rest of the table. And so he was like, oh, it's slippery. I don't like that. Okay, so that's the cage situation. Anytime you have any areas that you can't clean very well, like areas between wire and wood, you're going to end up with a little bit of a good spot for pests to hide, like fur mites, I guess fleas too. Ear mites is a common one with these guys. So you can do preventatives and oils and whatnot in their ear once a month whenever you're doing nail trimming. I try to do nail trimming and preventative ear oil monthly. He's such a funny guy. So, and where you put your cage is probably a little bit more important than what your cage is made of. You need them to be covered. You need them to be out of the rain. What is it, bud? He's like, you keep talking. What are you doing? What are you saying? He's so precious. You're so precious, buddy. So you want them to be out of the rain. That is very, very important. And I like to keep mine out of direct sun, because if they are in direct sun, you get all kinds of dangers. Like, especially with these guys, silver foxes have such a thick coat that they do not deal well with heat, even remotely. So they do great in the winter. These guys don't even need, as long as there's not direct wind blowing on them, they don't need a heat lamp. They don't need anything like that. They just need to be out of direct wind and out of direct sun. So my entire rabbitry is at the edge of the wood line. So everything is covered at least partially with tree shade, which is a lot better than structural shade. It's just a little more, it's more cooling. You got the zoomies, buddy. I've got some pumpkins on that side of the table. You know what? I'm going to move you so you can see the entirety of what he's doing. I also ran outside and grabbed him a little bit of basil. Hey, buddy. Dixie dog is very concerned. So this is a good thing to know too. They are used to basil. I give my bunnies basil probably at least once a week. And it's a nice, easy one for them to digest. There's a lot of different herbs that you can grow that is a good treat for them. Please do not give them a bunch of strawberries or carrots or anything over and over again. That amount of sugar will make them sick, and you don't want a sick bunny. Their guts are very sensitive. What are you doing, bud? What are you doing, buddy? Oh, he's going to be such a good pet. You really are, bud. There you go. Are you happy now? You just wanted somebody to cuddle. Yeah, he's a good boy. So they do like companions. I will say, if you put two rabbits together, it's more likely you're going to end up with a fight than with two happy bunnies, because they are very territorial. So if you've already got a rabbit and you're thinking of adding another one as a friend, the bonding process is complicated, and honestly, it's not something I've ever done, so I couldn't give you any advice on it. But they can be very, very territorial, even when they're young like this. So that's just something to be aware of. So greens are a treat. I do try to give my bunnies treats every day. If they don't get that, that's fine. Of course, you can purchase. Yep, it's pee time. This is very exciting, huh? I was just so excited you had to pee. That's a normal color. That is like a bright yellow. Their pee can actually range to like a bright red. Don't run back through it, buddy. I know. You just got the zoomies, don't you? You just got the zoomies. He doesn't spend any time inside, so he's like, what is happening? Are you happy? Anyways, so I give him greens maybe once a day. If there's plenty of rabbit-specific treats out there. I will say, please don't just go to the woods and grab anything, because some things out there are poisonous and can really hurt them, and their GI system is pretty sensitive. That being said, in terms of GI system stuff, I always give them access to hay. You can buy Timothy hay. Timothy hay is pricey. We usually use orchard grass hay. You can buy it in like a square bale, and it's not a problem in terms of storing something huge. But if you're purchasing something like a bag of Timothy hay from Tractor Supply, it's pretty expensive. So we usually, and you can get it from somewhere like Southern States or anything like that, and that works just great. Make sure that whatever source you're using it's somewhere that's clean, that's not going to end up contaminated. You don't want to bring termites or anything like that into your home or into your yard. So orchard grass hay is what we usually use. And then Timothy hay is like a nice treat. If I have anybody with bad GI issues, I'll get them some Timothy hay. I will say I would avoid alfalfa hay, especially if you're getting a buck, which I think bucks make the best pets. Alfalfa hay has too much calcium. It's great for goats because of the amount of minerals, but too much calcium in a rabbit's system can cause all kinds of GI issues, specifically in their urinary tract. They can get bladder sludge. So just no alfalfa. You'll be able to avoid that quite easily as long as you don't feed them alfalfa hay. Males are specifically a little more prone to getting something like that. So we talked about cages. We talked about treats. I didn't talk about their actual, when we mentioned hay. So on top of your hay, which I give them access to 100% of the time, just so that I know that their GI tract is moving, I also give them 1 cup of a complete pellet every day. Now, that being said, complete means like whenever you're shopping for pellets, it'll tell you on there, it'll say complete because it has 100% of what your bunny is going to need for his diet. And I try to aim for like 16 to 18% protein. You're not showing, 16 is like bare minimum amount of protein for a bunny. So that's anything like that you can find at Tractor Supply. I specifically really like to buy from local farms. Are you going to eat the pumpkin? You're licking it. Pumpkins are good for bunnies. I actually feed them pumpkins every now and then, so I'm not too terribly worried about him eating that. It's not like he could eat the whole thing, could ya? You're going to kick your legs off the table, Goob. He has so much personality. He's just such a cute little dude. A lot of bunnies, when you bring them inside, they just like curl up because they're scared. He says, not me. Right, so bunnies need a nice cage. If you really wanted to give them a space to run, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that's really great. Just be aware you could end up, if they have contact with the ground for very long, they could end up with something called coccidiosis, which can kill them eventually. But it's just, it is a common parasite around, at least in central North Carolina. But if like wild rabbits and stuff have it and they have been on that same ground, your bunnies can end up with it. There are other animals that carry it too. I know goats also can have problems with coccidiosis. I think chickens even can have issues. Okay, so that's all asides. So hay, food. Every time I bring somebody a bunny, I give them a bag of what we have been feeding them so that they can slowly transition to whatever it is they would like to feed them. If you change a rabbit's diet too quickly, it can be problematic. So, I mean, you just slowly change your percentage, narrow it down until you're feeding 100% of, what you plan to feed them permanently. And that is one really good piece of advice that I would give any new bunny owner is don't change their diet too fast. Change things slowly and they will handle that better. So that fresh water is very, very important. Harvey, are you going to make friends with the bunny? Yeah, fresh water is really important. I'll let you know the bottles that are like, even if they're glass, that are just the drinker bottles that go on the outside of the cage, they're difficult to clean and they can grow mildew very, very easily. I'm talking like less than a week, they can end up with mildew in the kind of weather that we have in central North Carolina in the summertime. So you just want to, I like to use bowls. The bowls that I have a little node on the bottom that actually allows them to lock into place for my 1/2 inch by 1 inch flooring. You can also use other little bowls that clip onto the side of the cage. I like to use the bowls that clip onto the side of the cage for food So I keep a hay feeder on the inside of the cage or the outside of the cage, depending on the cage, that always holds the hay, water, food bowl, and then a rest mat on the floor to ensure that their little feet are protected, just because it's really difficult to find the proper gauge wire for a meat rabbit, and they are heavier. So is it cool? Is that why you like it? Are you hot? They're cold weather animals. They really do prefer cold. That's pitiful, honey. Is that cooler? The AC just kicked on. You might like that a little better. He said, ooh, yummy. I like to give them ice as a treat. And then also I will fill up like 2-liter bottles with water and freeze them. And if it is over 90 degrees, I will make sure that they have a bottle in their cage. You're having too much fun with that already, huh? So, because they like the cold and they struggle in the heat, they are typically all about some ice. Look, you have this whole bundle of ice, goofball. All the ice. Yeah. Is it good? This guy really likes salt. He's a big Salt Lick fan, including my arms. If I've been working in the yard and I go check on him, you can bet I'm getting licked because he wants the salt. So Salt Licks are another good thing, and those are like $2 a pop, and they last for forever. So I say forever. They last several months, and if you only have one rabbit, it'll last a really, really long time. So that's another good thing just to add to the things that they're getting. Really enjoying that ice. So you saw him pick him up and sling that piece of ice. They can pick up and sling a lot more than you'd think they can. So they really like toys. They like anything that they can move around and sling around and chew on. They will chew everything, just so you know. There is not anything I have put in their cage that they wouldn't chew. You're pushing everything away, buddy. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they're big chewers. Their teeth are always growing, so they always need like a stick or something, wood to chew on. Now, that again, it's the same thing as I mentioned with, what kind of plants to feed them. There are certain plants that the wood is toxic as well. So just something to be aware of. Maple is a good one. Maple and willow. And then we use a lot of like apple as well. They really like that. Did you get some of the ice off? He seemed like he was having a hard time with it. You're such a cutie. You goofy fella. Yeah, this is just what I would do all day if I didn't have other things going on. He would just be in here and I would just be playing with him because he's got so much personality. Don't you, little fella? Yeah. Just a munching on it. So yeah, he likes ice. Anyways, I would not recommend feeding any kind of fruit. So I mentioned if it's over 90 degrees, these guys get ice. If it is over 80 degrees, I like to have a fan on them. Now, as long as your bunny is in the shade, he'll be okay, especially if it's 100% shade. But you definitely don't want them in direct sun in the heat because it can be pretty bad. Now, the kind of hutches that have like the full opening top door, I think they're probably really good for just a single bunny setup. But the trouble that you run into with these top opening cages is that the bunnies are nervous about it. Like they're prey animals. And so something opening up over top of them can be a little bit nerve-wracking. So the 2 bunnies in here, like that I've got, they really don't like being in here. They're a little nervous about this top opening situation. So it may be, I have a better time with my front opening cages. All of my hanging cages are going to be front opening. So that just seems to work better. And it, helps with everybody's temperament, helps everybody stay calm. The calmer bunnies are happier bunnies. Isn't that right, little leaf muncher? Yeah. I will tell you, they don't really like being held. This guy does really, really well with it. He's a very patient little guy. But they can decide they're going to kick out of your arms and not like it. Oh, their claws can do some damage too. So I always keep my buddies' nails trimmed, and I try to brush them out too. There are special like soft brushes that you can buy for bunnies, especially when they're molting. They will molt. His dad especially like will completely blow his coat. Like right now he's got bald patches almost where it's not bald. You can see the new fur coming in underneath it, but that old coat is completely releasing. And so brushing them helps get that out, and it just helps them be more comfortable. Another thing that can be helpful for bunnies is if you have them housed outside and any portion of their cage is kind of limited in terms of what they can see out of, they can scare themselves to death. Like they can get scared to the point where they run into the wall and they actually break their neck. So bunnies have really bad eyesight. Even if the view is not blocked, they have very bad eyesight. So what I do every time I'm coming up into the rabbitry is I start speaking to them when I get several feet, or if I know they can kind of see me as like a blur when I get about 10, 15 feet away, I'll say, "Hey bunnies, how's everybody doing?" Start kind of having a conversation with them as I'm walking up, just so that they're not startled by me just walking up, because they can pretty easily hurt themselves. And even if they don't actually run in, even if they don't break their neck, they'll run so hard into the side of the cage. I mean, they'll just run in circles. It's not good. You don't want your bunny to panic. So communicate clearly with your bunnies would be my advice. Isn't that right, buddy? Isn't that right? You want to communicate clearly? He said, "I don't care. Just give me the ice." So that's pretty much all you need to know. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get up with me. I am always here. I can't guarantee a bunny because I'm more than happy to set you up with another bunny, but I try to, especially all my ones that are pets, I try to send them to homes for a very reasonable fee. So I can't just give them away just because I feed them, it does cost money to produce them. So but I'm more than happy to help. If you run into any issues, if you have any weird things that happen, please don't hesitate to contact me. Yeah. If you have any questions about the specific kind of food that I feed or anything at all, please don't hesitate. Just get up with me and I'll be more than happy to help you what I can. Well, this has been Sam at Harvey Cat Homestead, and thanks so much for hanging out with us. You want to say bye, little bunny? You want to say bye? Lisa, go bye. Look, there's cute little cheeks. He's like, "Oh my gosh." All right. Goodbye, friends.